evening, everyone. My name's Anand, Lakhani, and I work at Unipart as a senior consultant, but I feel like I work more in a school of hard knocks, and from the innovation perspective, I feel like I'm the sorcerer's apprentice, because, you know, as most of you probably know, innovation is fantastic when it goes well, but it's absolutely frustrating at every other point. You know, you're constantly experimenting, you're constantly trying new things, and as you do it, there are lots of people who come out of the woodwork and tell you you're doing it wrong, or it's not quite exciting what you're doing, and you have to keep on persevering. So in a lot of the things that I've done at Unipart, I feel like I've been through that, and I feel like I've got some lessons to kind of share with the group today. But just kind of taking a bit of a step back, you know, I thought it'd be interesting to just kind of look at why is innovation an imperative? Why do we have to do it? Well, effectively, I'm reading this book recently that put this chart up and created this index called the Constructed Capitalist Index, and I thought it'd be really interesting to have a look at it, because what you can see here is there have been a number of companies that, although they've slightly followed the trend, they've massively outperformed a lot of the companies on the market, and effectively they've done that through innovation efforts. Really good examples on here is Lego. Lego has absolutely destroyed a company called Mattel. I don't know whether you've heard of it. I remember growing up hearing about Mattel. And they've done that by doing something really novel, talking to their customers, which is really interesting, and doing it in a different way so that they can create products with their customers for their customers. Nintendo, Sega, I mean, who had a Sega? I definitely did. They were awesome, weren't they? They were absolutely brilliant. You know, who could make something that could beat Sonic the Hedgehog? But actually, Nintendo came along and they did that. And you know, not just with the Wii. And actually, this is 2011 data here. You know, we're in the beginning of Q2 of 2012, and already this is not entirely valid. You know, Microsoft. Amazing that Microsoft can do something like this, but Microsoft have come along and created something even better than the Wii. Potentially up for debate, but even better than the Wii. But it's not just about, you know, other companies coming and eroding the value. There is this external environment which has lots and lots of things happening that are completely outside of our control, and there are also positive advancements. I mean, I don't know whether it's just we're a lot more connected in terms of information through the internet, through social media, but it just seems like at the moment that movie, I've forgotten the name of it, where half of the world suddenly froze over, it seems to be becoming a reality. Every day I hear about a climate disaster that's happening. And how do you plan for something like that? And how do you innovate to make sure that that doesn't destroy your business? I mean, we all heard about the floods in Thailand, which had a massive impact on the production of hard disk drives. I mean, how do you protect yourself against something like that? And then there's the positive advancements. Seems like positive, but for your business, are they positive? I mean, what impact did the tablet PC have on your businesses? Did it enhance your business? Those are the stories that we tend to hear about. But actually, there are a plethora of companies out there that suddenly thought, oh my gosh, I've got another product now that makes my product obsolete or competes against my product. Now, we can be proactive about these things. It's not just about these things happening and being very, very reactive. I mean, a really good example, jumping the gun slightly, is, you know, I've put iPad here, I've put Apple, but Samsung, they're an amazing company, and they are a fast follower. They've followed Apple all the way through, and they produce, through having a fantastic innovative manufacturing capability, they've managed to stay up at the forefront, and they've managed to, every time Apple come out with something new, come out with a rival product which seems to be doing really, really well at the moment. But let's be realistic for a second here. I mean, everything that I've just said to you, none of it is new. The world has been changing and changing and changing year on year on year on. And realistically, it's not going to stop. So, you know, perhaps Schumpeter was right. Perhaps it is all about that game of creative destruction. And perhaps that's the real reason why we have to innovate, just in case somebody comes along, creates something new, and completely changes the business landscape, whether you're a small company, whether you're a large company. So, what do we mean by innovation? For me, innovation is not a single definition. Innovation is more about a landscape. And I've pinched this from a guy called John Besson. And it's because I find it just absolutely amazing in framing what we do. Now, he talks about innovation being a varying degrees. So on one end of the spectrum, you've got incremental innovation, and actually at Unipart, we call that continuous improvement, and we're pretty good at that. However, on the other end of the spectrum, you've got radical, or some people call it disruptive, some people call it just continuous innovation. That's things that shake up what's going on in the world and change the market somewhat. And those things don't happen that often. And actually, you know, as an innovator, when I first got into this whole innovation field, I felt like, you know, to be really successful, I need to be coming up with a radical innovation every day, and it never happened. And I suddenly thought, well, maybe I'm not a very good innovator. And then I realised that actually, let's be realistic about life. You're not going to come up with something every single day that's going to change the world. So let's take a step back and let's start thinking more realistically about what I can do to protect my business and come up with something new that's going to make real money. He refers to these things, which is really interesting, as do better and do different. So do better innovation is taking what you do today, as I said, continuous improvement, and doing it slightly better, and that is innovation. But the bit that I'm more interested in, and I want to talk to you about today, is do different innovation, which is about saying, you know, let's just do something completely different compared to what everybody else is doing out in the marketplace. Now, what I find interesting, and this is just a perspective, and I think you could put lots and lots of things around this this wheel, this landscape, is, you know, you've got different types of innovation. So you could innovate around your product or service. And that could be taking what you're doing today and slightly changing it, or coming up with something completely new. You can look at a paradigm shift. You know, can I break people's mental models? Can I break the way people think? And by doing so, can I put something else into the marketplace? You know, to a certain extent, some of what we've seen out of the internet has done a lot of that. It's now old hat to sell something on the internet, but actually that wasn't the case just 5-10 years ago. Process innovation. How can I create my product and service differently, and how can I deliver it differently? And then positioning. How do I position my market, my product in the market? Again, you know, the fact that someone in you know, the deepest, darkest village in India can suddenly get on the internet and sell his product via Amazon and become a credible global player is a different way of positioning and takes them into a different era for their business. So that's how I frame innovation, and that's my world of innovation, effectively. So, but just because I understand innovation, that's not really necessarily the end of it. Now I've got to come up with an idea. And just to give you a little bit of background to myself, a couple of things that I've been doing at Unipart that makes it interesting for me to talk to you about today is, number one, we had a play, a really good play, I'd say, at innovation by creating a function called Green Shoots, and the whole mandate was, can we get inside, can we talk to, we have 10,000 people in the organisation, can we talk to all those 10,000 people, and then get outside, talk to people outside, and see if we can come up with loads of ideas, and then put it through a filtration system, and come out at the end and implement these great technologies. And I tell you, it was very exciting when we started this journey. And then all of a sudden, we had so many ideas and such a small amount of resource that it became really, really difficult. So absolutely have lived and breathed this. But in addition to that, we then took one of those ideas, and I went off to India and set up a business for Unipart, and as a result, came back with a lot of different thinking. And what I found, one thing that I found really, really quickly is it's not actually that difficult to come up with a new idea, but you have to not look at the places that you always looked, and you have to learn to filter. A little joke that I heard recently is, a guy came out of a pub, completely really drunk, absolutely relevant to this, completely drunk, and he lost his keys, and he walked along, it was really pitch black, dark outside, and he's hanging on a lamppost searching for his keys. And a police officer came along and said, "What are you doing?" Yeah. He said, "I'm looking for my keys." He said, "Okay, well, I'll help you." So 20 minutes, you're looking for the keys around the lamppost, and the police officer says, "Look, this is useless, your keys aren't here. You know, you sure you lost them here?" He said, No, I lost them over there." Said, "Well, why are you looking over here?" I said, "Because that's where the light is." The point of the story is, if you always look where you've always looked, you're going to find the same thing. But if you start to get out there, talk to different people, you know, look at different sources, look outside of your industry, talk about products that have got nothing to do with you, talk about people's hobbies that have got nothing to do with you, then all of a sudden you might start to find new opportunity.